Welcome back, and today we're going to be checking out the Kansept Tuckamore. This right here is a Jonathan Styles design, and he's been putting out quite a few designs this year, several with Kizer and now one with Kansept. And this is a pretty interesting one. You got a sheep's foot blade, nice stone wash finish on it, CPM 20 CV blade steel, and it's a nice full-size EDC knife at 8.05 inches with a 3.5-inch blade. You do have a row of jimping here. I would call it medium traction. It's not the sharpest, but it does give you a little bit of grip. You do have a well done sharpening choil, as you can see. Should get some sharpening light before it starts to widen up back here. And this blade shape should be excellent at utility cuts. You know, you can get all the way down by that tip, so you can control that tip to make fine, detailed cutting. And you have a flat grind that comes down to around 17 thousandths. Now, it will start to thicken up rather quickly, you know, after a few sharpenings. But, you know, in the meantime, that 20 CV should last for a decent amount of time. Why don't we do some cutting? This knife came pretty darn sharp out of box, and that pretty much straight edge you have there is going to be excellent at the cardboard slicing. You got a pretty decent sized blade too, so you're going to be able to get through some pretty long strips. I'm trying to do as long cuts as long as I can right there. And yeah, I blasted through this, no problem whatsoever. We're going to test the ergos in this piece of birch. And I figured it would be pretty darn comfortable. You got nice contoured scales. You got that micarta for a little bit extra grip in the middle. And yeah, in the beginning, it was doing good. Like I said, with that straight edge, you got a lot of power. So I was able to push really hard into the wood whenever I wanted to. I was able to make fine curls rather easily, even though this is a pretty twisted up piece of birch here. And for all the way until I started really bearing down toward the end right here. And then I flipped the piece over and start on the other side. It could have been because I've tested 3 other knives before this one, but you do have pretty skinny scales because of the contour. And there was 2 points on top of there's a point on top of the scales, and underneath that I could kind of feel nothing that crazy. Now, excellent for drag cuts like that. You got a nice fine tip right there for, you know, maneuvering through things. Now, you don't have much belly at all. You know, it's a very slight belly, so I had to raise it up onto this block. Other than that, it was just way too miserable, and I just wouldn't have done it. But the edge is still feeling really good at this point. I have never had, you know, any terrible edges with Kansept. Some last longer than the others, but this one's doing good so far. Hopefully, it'll keep it up. Right when we went to the denim, I could feel the aggression. Now, it's not struggling going through the denim. That last little piece is kind of stretching past the block, so it's just not getting all the way through. Just the last, you know, little strip, enough to hold on to the denim. But so far so good, and hopefully it'll keep itself up, because I really like this one. It's probably my favorite Kansept so far. And right off the bat, tons of aggression, push cutting for the majority of the time. It's gliding through it effortlessly, decently comfortable. Of course, I do have gloves on, but if something's not comfortable, you'll feel it with gloves on as well. It's just not as bad. Like I said earlier, I tested 3 knives before this one, so my hands are a little tired. And also, whenever you're cutting, like I'm cutting on this block right here, I'm putting grooves into that block whenever I cut down on it. So whenever you're trying to cut through the rope, if you land in one of the old grooves, it doesn't push all the way through all the time. So sometimes it just looks like it's struggling a little bit, but it's not. We make 50 cuts before I run out of rope, and yeah, I'm definitely happy with that. That's usually what I get with most of the super steels, so not bad at all. All right, now let's see how that edge is after that cutting. Really nice. One little small hang up toward that tip, but the rest of the edge is really, really good. Very nice, very nice. Now let's take a look at the deployment and action of the knife. You have a nice, generous sized blade hole right there. It's accessible on both sides. Excellent reverse flicker. And it's a very smooth, it was a drop shut. I did tighten it up because it was a little too free dropping. I kind of like a nice controlled drop. You can thumb roll it rather easily, and you can easily thumb flick it. You can also do it left-handed rather easily as well, even though it's only tip for right hand tip up carry only. Now it gets that smooth action because it's riding on cage ceramic ball bearings and a ceramic detent ball. Now let's take a look at this handle scale area. Now it comes in other variations. You can get it in 3 other carbon fiber inlay variations. This particular one is in brown. It looks like canvas micarta. You got nice, very nice contouring on the scales and the inlay right there. Inlay gives you some extra grip. Some nice tactile grip there, and they also put it on this side as well. I hate whenever they only put it on one side. Now the titanium on this particular variation is black wash titanium. I thought it looked the nicest, and they do have one with like a black wash blade, and I don't know the different color variations. You can go check them out on one of the big sites. Your hardware is T8 for the pivot. You have T8 on both sides, and unfortunately they put T6 on the body screws and for the cover screw right there. I wish they would start using all T8 so you didn't have to switch drivers, and you don't have to worry about T8s stripping out as bad as T6 could, even though I have not had a problem with Kansept's hardware. You have 2 hourglass standoffs back there, flow through construction so you can blow it out with some compressed air or wipe it out with a Q-tip. There is no internal milling here, but it is still fairly lightweight. First in grams, 100 grams or 3.5 ounces. Excellent. Now let's take a look at the lockup. Mine is sitting at around, I'd say 40% or so. I have no play up or down, left or right. Nice solid lockup. And the access to the lock bar is very good because you have this cutout that's a little bit lower than the lock bar. You have a little chamfer right there, so it's very easy to get my finger there. Nice and comfortable. You also have a hardened stainless lock bar insert there for so you don't have premature wear on that lock. You have a nicely contoured milled titanium pocket clip. Now, one thing I noticed the first time I tried to put it in my jean pockets is there's no ramp. Most of them have a ramp, so basically where it angles, so it'll slide underneath there. As you can see, you have just a little bit of like angle right there, and you got, you know, pretty good tension on that pocket clip. So I found that for, like, see right here, I can't push it in. I found that I had to lift it up some to get it in there. Now it's not going anywhere once it gets in there, and it sits fairly deep in there. You don't have a whole lot. You at least have something to hold on to when pulling it out. I think I may try to adjust it, maybe bend it up a little bit. Now, as far as it not being tipped for left-handed carry, it could be the designer's choice. I'm not sure about that, but definitely think they're missing out not having it tipped for left-handed carry. Now, for some quick size comparisons, we have the Ontario Route Model 1 and 2. Next up, we have the Kansept Bulldozer and the Kansept Entity. And lastly, we have the Spyderco PM2 and the Hogue Ritter RSK. All right, now from a nitpicks and complaints, we already talked about them. I wish they would have T8 throughout, have it tapped for lefties as well. And also the pocket clip, I wish they would have added a little bit better ramp there to make it a little bit easier to get in and out of the pocket. Other than that, I absolutely love the knife. This is my favorite Kansept so far, and I've been carrying this quite often. It's got good action. It's nice and comfortable in the hand for the most part. And, you know, unless you're really be bearing down the thinner portions right here, might bother you a little bit. But other than that, you know, I think it's priced well. And I think overall they made a very, very good knife. So there you go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day. I will see y'all on the next one.